Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully you can all hear me. This is our second LinkedIn Live. Unfortunately, Chris isn't here today. He's not around, so you're kind of just stuck with me. I'm going to do my absolute best to answer as many questions as I can. I can always ping him a quick WhatsApp if I'm going to struggle there. If you are logged in via LinkedIn and you'd rather be anonymous, you can actually hop out and come via StreamYard, which will give you the opportunity to run or to post via an alias or be anonymized, which might be useful if that's what you prefer. By way of introduction, my name is James Butler. I, along with Chris Meager, who you guys will probably all know, I run a security recruitment organization. So our firm works on recruiting CSOs across regionals, countries, analysts in the crisis management, business continuity sphere, and everything in that area. There will always be in geography, which is we've worked in something like 69 countries over the last decade or so that we've been doing this role. So look, I haven't seen any questions just yet. I'm going to hop into, there's nothing in comments. If anyone has any questions, please do fire away. It'd be great for someone to kick things off, and hopefully we can get you all set up for 2025 and ready to go. So look, I think while I'm waiting for the questions to come in, I think it's worth talking a lot about a bit about how 2025 can look for you all. I think it's really important to start investing now in what lies ahead. Whether that's just setting the foundations from a networking standpoint, working on your professional social media, creating a compelling LinkedIn profile, or just making sure that CV resume is really is all set and in the right place. Of course, context is everything, but building these frameworks is very, very important. I'm going to pop a note to Beth, who's helping me out with this, and see if any questions have come via LinkedIn. So bear with me 2 seconds, and I'll see if anything has turned up there. Maybe I will log in via LinkedIn as well and see if there's anything has turned up on that side of things. Okay, I think we have one. I mean, thanks, Beth. That's a huge question, really. I mean, it's in terms of those looking to transition from the public, presumably from the public to the private sector. It's stripping everything back, in my opinion. I always use this kind of gym analogy, or metaphor. I'm never quite sure which one it is, but where we talk about compounding, and deciding, okay, that today is that time that we're gonna make that move, and we're gonna really chip it away every single day, rather than deciding today's the day when I'm gonna leave what I'm doing and get a job in the private sector, spend 10 hours a day doing it, and then crash and burn. It's a bit like deciding to run a marathon without doing anything before that. You get injured, right? You get injured, especially at my age. We have here we go. We do have a couple of questions coming through now. I'll dive into this. So the big trends towards recruitment in risk. What are the big trends towards recruitment in risk intelligence and corporate intelligence? We still see that driven out of the consultancies predominantly. There are some organizations that are doing it really, really well at analytical level through management level. Sometimes it tends to, you'll see some of the corporates, and some of the corporates from an in-house perspective, and some of the consultancies as well take a bit more of a macro standpoint, and sometimes you have a bit of a geopolitical bent to it as well, and it's really dictated by the direction you'd like to take your career in, right? I do think that you need to kind of almost double down in terms of if you're going to pursue that kind of corporate intelligence space and all the kind of investigative diligence or anything that comes with that focused on that and work with the right consultancies and right people. Conversely, if you're looking at the geopol side of things, then again, that's a focus. We often, clearly, the two things are the two disciplines are very much separate, but we do see people doing a bit of, sometimes doing both. But I think if you're at the stage in your career, you do need to, focus on one rather than t'other. An anonymous question: do you find that within security leadership roles there are specific pathways, and do you have any advice for someone that's looking to take the next step towards a director, head of security role? I touched on this a little while ago. I was at a conference, really lucky to present at this conference, and I don't think, I'm not convinced actually that organizations necessarily have clear pathways for their security leadership. And I don't think that's anyone's fault, really. I think we operate in a space that's quite flat. And if you look at most organizations, they have a country through region, a CSO through region, through country model. And depending on the size of the organization, there is only so much kind of, there is only room at the inn, if we're looking at it from a Christmas standpoint. So I think what I said then was probably most of the time you'll have to look probably to move roles. I appreciate it sounds like I'm stacking the kind of cards in my favor, but I think we see people working for longer nowadays. I've talked about this ad nauseum, okay, about how I see this shift from public to private. Everyone's heard me talk about this at some point, where my generation and to my kind of dad's generation and beyond was doing a full public sector career. Do your 30 years, come and do your 10 years in the private. Well, now we see that reversal, right? We see 10 years in the public, the rest in the private. And then when you couple to the fact that we are working longer than we were before, progress is not linear. Progress is not this, and this. Progress is here and then there, and But what's, again, I think really interesting kind of nuance to that is that there's more opportunity out there than ever, and because of LinkedIn and because of social media, because of the world we live in, the world is much smaller, and we have eyes on more than we ever had on before. So I don't think there are specific pathways. I would just take ownership of your career. Be sure that you're networking. Be sure that that when opportunity knocks, that you listen, because no one's coming to save you. In my opinion, no one's coming to save you, and I think it's important to take control of your own career. If that helps. If not, just say. Okay, thank you for this question. Hi James, what's your opinion on international companies' approach to hiring security professionals? Do most look for purely physical security, again, guarding services, access control, or a mixture of expertise? Gosh, I think the higher up you go, you see more of a mixture of expertise demanded, right? So you'll find that a lot of, again, having sat in this conference a little while ago, a lot of CSOs were owning that risk and resilience piece as well, or at least pushing to own that risk and resilience piece. It's the sort of new convergence, isn't it? That people are focused on. So I think that we sit in silos, arguably a little lower down. I think when you get into the technical security side of things, of course, that is a standalone. We see that, but we also see, of course, heads of business continuity, heads of crisis management. It's just predicated by the organization you're in. But in my opinion, generally speaking, the roles are, you're better off being a touch more generalist, in my opinion. Although I think generalist might be a poor word, because this is a component. These elements, crisis management, business continuity, physical security, investigations to a degree, all form component parts of a regional security role in the main. So yeah, I think to have strings to your bow is really, really important, especially within the confines of the security space. We don't want to get too far away from it, but no, these are core components. What are the key roles and hiring trends for mid-level physical security project program managers in India and the Middle East? this 15 years of experience in currently exploring the market for a senior role. I think the Middle East, from a recruitment standpoint, sometimes it has a tendency to sort of look after itself. The Middle East in particular. So again, it's are you there to be found? In fact, this is a great kind of segue into that. Can you be found? That's the question I'll ask you, right? The amount of opportunity is not in question, because I think there is lots and lots out there, but the reality of it is, when Apple are recruiting for their country security manager for India, or their regional security manager for Southeast Asia, they can find you. And when they can find you, they can approach you, and they will understand exactly what they're looking at when they get your resume, when they get your LinkedIn profile. We absolutely do hire candidates for India for our mandates, but again, we just have what we have at that moment in time. So nothing right now, but who knows what's around the corner. That said, India as a market clearly is one of the, if not the, but one of the most fastest growing for country roles and for regional roles as well. So be sure that you position yourself to be found by the people that are hiring from these roles. Anyone that's talked to me in the last year will have heard me just bang on about this ability to be found. I'm sure I talked about it last time. It's really, really important. The way that people go to market has changed. We don't get absolutely everything in this market. We see this much, and the market, frankly speaking, is that big. So you have to ask yourself, how do they find their security leadership? Well, they find them a lot of the time through internal talent acquisition teams, and these internal talent acquisition teams have big kind of mandates across the business. So they might be recruiting for a security director today, a salesperson tomorrow, and a widget maker on Friday, and the algorithms in LinkedIn, for LinkedIn in particular, don't always support that very well. So you need to work from your side, and be sure that the keywords, the Boolean search works for you, because that's generally what it is, Boolean search, rather than anything kind of too focused in that standpoint, from that perspective. So it's really, really important that you can be found. The other thing is contact details. I'm connected to people, first degree contacts, and I can't see their email address. It's crazy. So all these easy things, like low hanging fruit, I would talk about it. I would refer to it as, is really, really important. Eric, pop me an email, james@enteles-search.com, and we'll do what we can. I'll give you a call back, or the guys will give you a call back. Again, I think I'm being found. Can I elaborate on being found? You have to understand that the people that are recruiting for, let's just round it up to a security manager, right? Don't recruit security managers every single day. So they need to be able to, when they go hunting, they can find you. I can't really. My kind of knowledge around being optimized for SEO visibility and that kind of thing is probably a technical step too far for me. Apart from LinkedIn, other avenues for candidates to be found, but there are lots, right? There are other job boards. LinkedIn's the predominant one globally. You get Zing in Germany, Viadio in France. People that do what I do for a living. But no, that LinkedIn is the like it or loathe it, the giant here, right? And if you don't take control and do what you're doing when you talk about optimizing your own presence on that platform, we reduce our chances hugely of being found and being picked up. If that makes sense.